So as you said, we can classify, I'm just revamping what we had discussed. As you said, you can classify the entire financial system into formal and informal. When we talk about informal sector, even though there is control of the various regulatory bodies, they are not directly brought under the control of these regulatory bodies. They include money lenders, chit funds, all these, indigenous bankers, all these categories will be falling into the informal sector. Even though government is trying hard to bring these, but it might take some more time, because in some of the rural, very remote areas where you do not have any private, as you say, financial institutions set up by government bodies, these parties serve the need of local people over there. So that's actually the importance of such money lenders in these remote villages, even though at times they are exploiting the people because they might be in need of money or in financial assistance, and these people might be charging interest depending on their vested agenda. So that's a major problem faced by the informal sector. Now going with the formal sector, we said about the presence of regulators, financial institutions, where we talked about banking institution, non-banking institutions, as well as the different specific bodies like mutual funds, life insurance corporations, pension funds, all those categories come under the financial intermediaries, or maybe financial institutions who are helping in channelizing the fund from the savers to the borrowers. Then we talked about financial market. We said that when a financial transaction happens, it is said to happen in a financial market. And based on the type of instruments dealt in a market, we have classified that into capital market and money market. And during our discussion, we said that capital market normally deals with long-term securities having a maturity period of more than 1 year. And again, capital market, based on the type of capital structure or type of financing, it can be classified into equity market and debt market. When the financing is done to contribute to the capital structure of a company in the form of ownership capital, that is said to happen in equity market, because equity is ownership, share. It's actually ownership capital. So that such type of dealings is said to happen in a equity market, like public issue, private placement, or as you say, listing, all these functions which we are going to learn, right issue, bonus issue, all these are said to happen in a equity market. And again, equity market, if we want, we can categorize that into international and as we say, as in domestic market, international and domestic market, because if the funding is sourcing or investment is done in a foreign market, it is said to happen in an international arena. So that's why we say that it is international market. But when the entire process happened within the national boundaries, we call that as domestic market. Okay, so we have domestic market as well as international market. When there is participation of an international body, like maybe Infosys going abroad, going to United States of America, USA, and getting themselves listed in New York Stock Exchange. They are getting themselves listed in a New York Stock Exchange. Automatically, they are going into a foreign market. They are sourcing for capital in United States of America. So that such type of transaction is said to happen in an international market. Okay. Now we talk about domestic markets. Say here we can see that many of the companies, they come into the Indian market. As we say, you can take the example of, it's the same company which we were discussing, Infosys. They might have listed their shares in Bombay Stock Exchange or National Stock Exchange for a sourcing fund, right? They might have issued in Indian market, later getting themselves listed in the stock market for providing a secondary market. And so we can say that since the entire process, there are many companies, any number of companies we know, like who have gone with listing in Indian market, or who have gone with taking capital from the Indian market, like HUL, HCL, or as you say, and the Nestle, all big companies, or the Kitex. Now we have a lot of no news connected with Kitex company going to Andhra and all. So they are also listed in Indian stock market. They initially came up in the new issue market, then later got themselves registered into the into the stock market under NSE and BSE. So that is actually within the national boundaries. So that is said to happen in a domestic market. And then we have different types of issues that happen, which we will be learning. But for the time being, you can understand public issue, private placement. Private placement, we are sure about it, because when it is offered to a specific group of investors, we call that as private placement. Then we have a right issue, bonus issue, or as you know, employee stock option. There are different types of options for taking finance from different parties. So that we are going to discuss when we are learning about primary market. Then we talked about secondary market. Of course, secondary market mainly consists of stock exchanges. And as we know, the prominent stock exchanges in our country is Bombay Stock Exchange and the National Stock Exchange. Of course, there are many regional stock exchanges, as well as over-the-counter OTCI for OTCI market. And we have another component called derivative markets. This is also actually part of the stock market, where they are providing a option for hedging of risk. Like they are dealing with the derivative instruments like futures, forwards, which is very new, maybe very new to most of you. Options. Basically, what you have to understand for the time being, because we are just entering into the subject. Later, we will learn this in detail. For the time being, you can understand that they are financial instruments whose value is determined from the underlying asset. And this underlying asset can be share, can be bond, can be physical assets like gold, palladium, or copper, or steel, or it can be commodities like pepper, or as you say, wheat, rice, cotton. All these can be the underlying asset. And based on the price movement of this underlying asset, the value of this asset also goes. So we have many commodity markets, many derivatives market, which we call as futures or options market. Swap is there. So in case of swap, the underlying asset would be currency. But for the time being, you don't confuse yourself. You just understand like this. We are going to learn. We will take it that to the 5th module. Okay, separately we will learn about these instruments. So that is also, the derivative market is also part of our financial system. Okay. Now coming to the next part, which is money market. The greatest players in a money market is banks and other financial institutions. They are the parties who are in need of short-term liquidity, and so they would be mostly engaged in this money market. Even though you can find individuals having short-term deposits or short-term loans, all that is said to happen in a money market. But major players in money market, institutional players, would be banks and other financial institutions. And we have learned that money market deals with those instruments which are having a maturity period of less than 1 year, up to 1 year or less than 1 year. Okay, and some of the instruments which is being dealt here is treasury bills. Here also you have a primary market and a secondary segment, primary segment and a secondary segment. In fact, when you talk about dealing with now, what you have to understand is only those instruments that are brought to the primary segment will be available in a secondary segment, and the different types of instruments like treasury bills, commercial papers, certificate of deposits, call money instruments, or short term or simply term money, all these come under as we say, money market. So broadly, we can classify financial market into capital market and money market. And in capital market, we again can look into the type of financing being done and categorize that into equity market and debt market. And one more we can add into that, where equity market can be like those that are meeting the ownership capital can again be categorized into, as we say, the primary market, where every issue is brought for the first time. Secondary market, otherwise called as the stock market. And then we have the derivative market, which talks about the futures trading. Okay. And money market, as I said, we can classify that into primary and secondary segments. So this is about the market. Now we are talking about the instruments. See, what all instruments we said to have been dealt in a money market, I mean in a financial market, all those are actually those instruments which we are going to discuss under financial instruments. So if market is somewhere where transactions happen, is a place where transaction is set to happen, is maybe a situation where transaction is set to happen. You cannot pinpoint when transaction is happening online. You cannot say that it happened in a regular. No, it's an online platform. So it is wherever a transaction is set to happen, we call that as a financial market. Okay. If that is the case, the medium, the channel through which, or the instrument through which that transaction happened, is what we call as a financial instrument. See, the transfer of money between the savers and the borrowers happen through a channel by using an instrument. And that instrument is what we call as financial instrument. So for example, if I want to invest in the capital of a company, I need an instrument called share. Right? If I want to invest in the ownership capital of a company, if I want to invest in the debt capital structure of a company, I need to have an instrument called debenture or bond. If I want to deposit my money with a bank, okay, then banker needs to issue me with a FD receipt as in proof. If I want to put my money into a saving, there should be a product called savings bank account, right? If I want to which you may not be sure if I say, if I want to hedge my risk of fluctuation in the currency value in future, I need to have an instrument called futures, or as you call options, or as you call derivatives, right? Derivative instrument. So that is the relevance of a financial instrument. It's actually the financial transaction happened by using a financial instrument. So that's the relevance of a financial instrument. A share is a financial instrument. Mutual fund, see, suppose if I want to invest in the pool of savings called fund, I need to have an instrument called mutual fund. I need to purchase maybe mutual fund sold by HDFC Bank. Maybe they have different types of funds like equity fund, index fund, or debt fund, or as they say, hybrid funds. If I want to invest in that, I have to have an instrument. So that is the relevance of an instrument in a capital market. It is through when a financial transaction happens in a financial market, it is said to happen by using any one of these financial instruments. So that's why they say that they are actually very much related. There would be overlapping. You need a financial instrument if you have to go with the financial transaction. If I have to pay somebody, I need to by using a check or maybe liquid cash. Liquid cash, I have limitation. So I can use a check or I can go with online transfer. So I need to have some kind of transaction happening through different products, accounts. So all that can be brought under the category of financial instruments. And then these instruments again can be categorized based on term, like short term, long term, medium term, right? Type, primary securities and secondary securities. That might be little confusing, because primary securities like equity can become, as we say, in secondary market. Initially, when they come into the market, they would be brought under primary securities, right? And then after some time, when you are looking into primary securities, can be understood from the concept of how they are actually contributing, or if I want to be owner of Infosys, I can do that by purchasing the share, right? But if I become, if I purchase a mutual fund, okay, if I'm going to purchase a mutual fund, I may not be a direct investor to Infosys alone, but I'm contributing to a fund which invests their money in Infosys, and maybe part of it in ITC, or part of it in any other companies, as Hindalco or OTCR, HCL, or any other companies they might be going with. They might have specified in their fund that which all companies they are going to invest. So there is no direct contribution by the investor to the to such companies. But it is actually, I am indirectly contributing by investing my money in a fund which invests in these companies. Right. But I have a chance to invest directly into the capital structure of a company if I purchase the share of Infosys or any other company. So the risk for me is higher in the first case. Why? I have not diversified my portfolio. We might have heard the term that instead of putting all my eggs in one basket, suppose if I'm going with a mutual fund, I am diversifying it. So even if one company incurs a loss, I'm okay with it, because the profit from other companies can be compensated with that. With that loss which I've incurred from one company. So likewise, say recently as we said, we were mentioning about Kitex. You can see that the share price of Kitex went more than 20% up, just because of the news that they are planning to invest 1,000 crores in a state in the country. 20% hike in the share price of that company over last 2-3 days. That's a huge profit. So even if I go little weaker with some other companies in my portfolio, it will be okay for me. So that's a benefit of a pool called mutual fund. We are going to learn that. I'm just giving you an introduction to that. Okay. So here we have primary securities, where we are directly taking up the risk to invest in the capital structure of those companies. Okay, directly investing into, say, suppose Paytm. Paytm is a digital payment company, and it's an unlisted company. The share is not listed. If I have to purchase, I have to go with private placement option. But I prefer to take that risk, because I anticipate that tomorrow is the world of digital payments. Maybe I will have to pay more than 10,000 for acquiring one share in Paytm. The share is so demanding, but I take up that risk because I expect a huge profit in future. Now, how do I get profit? I buy a share for 100 rupees today. Maybe after 5 months, it can become 1,000 or 2,000. So the difference between 2,000 and 100 is my capital appreciation. And there are many other things like dividend and all. I'm not confusing. So financial instrument, in short, is a medium for us to go with performing the financial transactions. And based on the purpose it serves, it can be classified into primary securities and, as we say, secondary securities. In case of primary securities, here what happens here is we are directly participating or directly investing in a particular company using this company, or in a particular venture using this financial instrument. Share is a good example for you to remember. Secondary securities is we are going with indirect contribution towards the capital requirement of some companies. You imagine you are depositing your money with a bank. What will bank do? Bank will lend to some company who is in need of that money. So indirectly using the financial instrument called deposit, maybe recurring deposit or maybe fixed deposit, we are contributing to the financial requirement of a company. We are not directly giving to that company. Remember the first diagram which we learned? Intermediary. So through an intermediary, we are channelizing it. In that case, that will be called as secondary securities. And the last part is financial services. Anything that is facilitating the financial transaction, any service that is facilitating the financial transaction will be brought under the category of financial services. Banking is a financial service. Insurance is a financial service. Mutual fund is a financial service. Post office saving, or as you say, accepting small saving, all these categories, that is a financial service. Then we have heard about credit rating, that is rating different types of financial instruments, credit rate or financial institutions, that will be part of financial service. Then there are many other like as we say factoring, leasing. Maybe you are going to learn some of it in our future classes. So I have just listed few things. Maybe you are not sure with all, but some of it you know that, right? Banking is a financial service. You know what it is. It is facilitating the conduct of financial transaction in a financial market using a financial instrument. So any service that is facilitating that will be brought under the category of financial services. So in nutshell, we learned about, I'm just showing this, the whole process in points. First, we learned about financial system, right? Then we learned that financial system can be categorized into formal and informal. Then we learned the structure of, some of it may be present in informal sector also, but we looked into the formal financial system because that is something that is promoted in a country. So in a formal system, we will have regulators. Then we said we will have financial institutions or intermediaries, which will serve as channels for transferring the fund, right? Or transferring the money from the savers to the borrowers. Then we talked about financial markets, then financial instruments, and lastly about financial services. And when we were discussing about financial institutions, we said mainly financial institutions can be banking, non-banking. If we want to categorize that again based on specialized services, we can talk about mutual funds, we can talk about pension funds, we can talk about insurance companies. All these are different types of institutions which are registered within the formal sector. Then we talked about financial market. We broadly categorize financial market based on the maturity or the time factor. And we said money market and as we say, capital market. Money market deals with short-term securities, whereas capital market deals with long-term or those securities that are meeting the long-term capital requirements of different companies and firms, right? And then we talked about financial instruments. Financial instruments, again, we classified that into those, basically financial instruments are the, as we say, the medium through which a financial transaction happens. Such instruments are used to perform the financial transactions in a financial market, right? And these financial instruments can be basically classified into long-term and short-term based on the maturity period, or it can be as primary securities and secondary securities based on how they meet the demand coming up from a capital structure. If it is directly contributing to the capital requirement of a company or of an institution or an organization, that will be called as primary. And if it is indirectly classifying, it is very easy for you to remember, like when you deposit money In a bank, you are indirectly contributing to the capital requirement of different industries and companies. So that is why we say that it is secondary securities. And the last part which we learned in our class today is financial services. Anything or any service that is helping in the conduct of financial transactions in a financial market using any type of financial instrument will be called as financial services. The best example which you can remember is banking or insurance services. It's helping banking. Actually, financial institutions directly involved in channelizing the fund to direct ventures like savers. They pick it from savers by offering different products like deposit products, and then they channelize that to the borrowers by offering different products under the heading loan. Like they have housing loan, car loan, or they have consumer loans, or maybe they have industrial loans, long-term loans, short-term loans. So indirectly, they are channelizing to those parties. So the service being rendered by bank can be brought under financial services. Also, they help in payments, online transactions, right? It is through when we purchase something from Amazon, we make our payment either cash on a delivery, or maybe you use different online platforms for making payment. Sometimes you might use the SBI online payment platform. So it is actually a financial service that is helping in facilitating financial transactions in an online platform. Say people would not have bought products if everything was on cash on delivery. Because for us, for some people, it is convenient if the payment is done at the time of purchase itself. So we have a platform that comes under financial services.